Aspi, how was it for you, Aspi? Because, I've heard of the race. It's a legend, you know. Really, really interesting to see what you thought of it, trying to get there first, and then what you thought of the race by itself.
See, the thing is, first of all, racing in our time was much, much more difficult than what it is today. Because first of all, we didn't have bikes. We raced Enfield Crusaders and Bullets and Javas at that time. So the quality of bikes that we got compared to what the international riders were racing was totally different.
Okay.
In 1983, I got myself a TZ350 because I was winning, but I was not improving riding with Indian riders. And luckily for us, at least at that time, we used to have a horde of English, German, Japanese riders coming to Chennai, to Sholavaram, to Calcutta, to the Mumbai races. And there were some top names at that time. You had Chas Mortimer, you had Neil Robinson, Steve Tonkin, Sadio Asami was a F750 champion. So we had some of the best talents. In fact, my last 94, it was 94, 95, I raced with Shinya Nakano.
Who went on did? Wow, really?
Yeah. Okay. And he was so small and tiny that he finished first, I finished second, but I was still taller than him on the winner's podium. So,
so did he come to Chennai? Where did he race?
He came to Chennai, yes. He came to Chennai. Okay. So we raced against all these guys, but to improve yourself, you have to get out of the country. You cannot sit in India and improve your riding. So I started going to England for a couple of races, all self-sponsored, or some friends giving a couple of ₹1,000 here and there. I remember my first race to Malaysia, the budget was some 15,000 rupees. That was to get myself, my brother, and the motorcycle to Malaysia and back.
Wow.
That was the budget. So that was 15,000-20,000 rupees was the budget to do the whole thing. And so, and it was like a struggle, means it was a big struggle. In fact, to export the bike, I used to go to Mumbai every day by train in the morning and come back because I had to get the clearance from the Reserve Bank of India. And they wouldn't give it to get for the export part of the bike. So it was really tough. And the whole aim in life was to race and improve. That was it. I was racing in the UK in 1986 on my own steam, no sponsors. So Bill Smith saw me riding at Alton Park and he offered me a ride. He said, would you like to race in the Isle of Man? I said, yeah, sure. But I said, I don't have. He said, don't worry. I'll give you the bike. All you have to do is get yourself here. And in fact, that time also I approached Air India for a ticket and they refused it. But a friend sister used to work for Gulf Air. She said, come, I'll get you a ticket from Gulf Air. So I got a ticket from Gulf Air to go and ride in the Isle of Man. And racing the Isle of Man and just completing the race was more self-satisfying than winning any of the other races that I've done.
Yeah, sure, yes.
Yeah, so that is the story. And during our time, if you had asked somebody for sponsorship and you said the sport is dangerous, he said, I'm not asking you to race. Don't risk your life. Don't race. That was the answer from the sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I want to ask you, at the Isle of Man, did you have to do like a couple of weeks where you need to stay there and learn the course, or how does it work to get certified to race it?
No, actually, you should go a couple of weeks in advance, but the budget that I had didn't permit me that. So in the Isle of Man, there's 1 week of practice before racing starts. So I spent that entire week of practice, which is nothing because each lap is 37.75 miles. That's close to 60 kilometers.
Yeah.
And to memorize that, it takes about 3 years to get there. And that's when you can think of competing, basically, to win.
I understand, yeah.
So that was it. I was working on my own bike and racing. They provided me with a bike and a toolbox. They said, this is it. You have to look after your bike. There's no mechanic for you. So that was my story, that I worked on my own bike and raced her.
And did you want to go back and do it a few more times, or it was just something that you did and you...
I went back in 88 again. First was 87, 88 I went back. And it was morning practice. At that time we used to have morning practice, which started at 5 a.m. and finished at 7. So it had rained the previous night and we just went through, just hit the forest section and the road was a little damp and the leaves had fallen, it was a little mushy. So So I lost the front end a little bit. I picked it up and I thought on the left, which looked like a hedge. So I said, I'll clip the hedge and carry on. but it was not a hedge. It was a stone wall with creepers over it.
Ooh.
No.
So my hand got trapped between the clip-on and the wall.
Oh,
That's
man.
where I lost a bit of my finger. And immediately after that was a
That's where
left-hand
it's
corner.
from. Okay.
And after that was immediately a left-hand corner where I couldn't turn the bike left. So I went into the wall, probably doing 130, 140 kilometers an hour.
Oh, man.
And I said to myself, yes, this is it. You're going to die. I shut my eyes when I hit the wall. And after I opened my eyes, I said, no, I'm still alive. So that was the reaction. And the engine was screaming away. I ran to the bike and hit the kill button. So the engine shouldn't get damaged. And after that, I was flown by the chopper and a bit of my finger was knocked off. See, I broke a collarbone, wrist, and I cracked a knee. And the hospital was so full, they said, your injuries are not good enough for you to stay in the hospital, so you go back. So all alone, for 1 or 2 days, I only drank soup from the bowl because I couldn't use either of my hands. One collarbone was broken and the wrist was broken on either side. So then after that, I decided if I didn't have the money and if I couldn't take support staff with me from India, I would not race again doing the same thing. Okay. So that's why I didn't go back in 89, 90.
And how old were you at this point in time?
28.
Okay. And then you continue to race after that?
Yeah. I raced after that till 1999 in Chennai. Then they stopped racing in Chennai. And my last race I did was in 2004 in Australia on a classic bike.
Okay, I think I might have seen one of those articles. Yes, I think maybe the Australia one. I think I vaguely remember something. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he still is one of the fastest journalists even at this age. So it's just absolutely blows my mind how quick he would have been then.
We should put some laps of him on Budh or at Chennai. You know, it'd be interesting content for sure.
Yeah. And his lines are very different. Even his body position is very different from the modern guys. If you compare them back to back, it's completely different. The way he's sitting and the lines he's taking is something we don't understand because we see the modern guys on the other side of the road and Aspi is on the other side, and we're wondering, I mean, what's happening here? And Aspi still comes out faster and like, what just happened?
I guess maybe a different era of motorcycles that Aspi is used to racing.
Yeah, the tires that we raced on was MRF Zappers. And we were still...
Yeah, so...
And if you look at the lap times that we did at that time on a 100cc bike, which was basically 2 gears because first and second were too low, we were doing a 2.9 or a 2.8 on a 100cc bike. And
on a 100cc?
100cc drum brakes.
Yeah.
Today, if you look at the guys, they are riding these new R15s and all that, and they're going much quicker.
What are the timings compared to now? I think it's late 50s or I think early 50s now.
For what?
The lap times now, they're in the 50s, right? Like the 155s or 56?
Yeah. So the thing is, the track has become quicker by about 4 or 5 seconds now because during our time, the grip levels were very low and it was very bumpy. Now it's much smoother and nicer.
Okay.
And the bikes are much easier to ride. Our bikes are 2000 RPM power band. You've ridden a 2-stroke motocross bike, so you will know more about it than how a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke works. So
yes, for sure.
Even I've been to the track a couple of times. I rode with some of the boys who are still into racing, but they still don't seem to be utilizing the entire width of the circuit. So I still feel that's why I think when the Thai boys come, the lap time between the Thai boys and the Indian quickest guys are 5 seconds a lap. Yeah. The quickest Thai guy and the quickest Indian is 5 seconds, which is massive. During our time, when we were racing with the Japanese and the Germans and things, it would be a second and a half at the very most between the quickest guy and us. So we were not, we were there and thereabouts.
Okay.
But not.
What did you race? What do you race Shinji Nakano on? What bike?
I was riding RS 120 for Honda. He was riding a TZ 120.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, I've got a picture of him and me on the podium. So I'm going to scan that and put it on
That's a good
media.
thing.
You should definitely do that.
Good to see you on Instagram. Yeah, totally. You put up all those old pictures. it gives us perspective as to what was happening then